Benito, I thought you said you weren't going to do these intros anymore. You could just cut them out. Benito? Hello? Oi, Benito! Do you ever learn, man? For goodness sake!
Hello everyone! God, this is sad times now. This is the penultimate evolutionary biology revision video I'm going to do. Very sad, I know. Get your tissues ready for this one. And today we're going to be talking about two more topics in human evolution. We're going to apply some evolutionary theory to see why they happen, basically. And the first one we're going to be talking about, you're really in for a treat, it's pregnancy sickness. Now, I don't reveal a lot about myself in these videos, I know, but one thing I can reveal to you is that I've never been pregnant. So, to explain this a little bit more, I interviewed my dear mother to find out what pregnancy sickness is like. I'm now here with Leonor Salinas Wainwright, my dear mother. So, what symptoms did you encounter when you were pregnant, mother?
The first one is sickness, very nauseated. Yes, the food doesn't taste the same, like metallic, it has a different taste all through the pregnancy. Tiredness, you want to sleep, and yes.
Oh well,
it's interesting.
It was all worth it.
Oh yes, of course.
How very insightful. Thank you, Mother. Now, what we're trying to get at here is whether, just like how we were talking about with fever in the last video, we're going to be discussing whether pregnancy sickness is adaptive. Okay? So we know pregnancy sickness involves a lot of vomiting, a lot of nausea, basically not feeling very well at all. Now, we know that certain compounds, certain plants that we eat are actually harmful to developing fetuses. So it could be that all this vomiting and nausea is preventing us from ingesting foods which could be toxic to the developing fetuses, especially in the first trimester of pregnancy when the fetus is particularly vulnerable. In fact, in a non-human experiment, when potato sprouts, don't know where they got that from, when they were fed to mice, no effect on the mother at all, but the offspring produced had some serious neural tube disorders. So there's quite a lot of evidence that this could be adaptive. Now, if it is adaptive, then there are two hypotheses that we could make, and I've written them on the board here. The first one being that women with pregnancy sickness have lower rates of miscarriage and offspring with birth defects. And this hypothesis has actually been upheld. It's shown that you have a halved risk of miscarriage if you develop the symptoms of pregnancy sickness. However, this could be due to other factors, such as the hormone human chronic gonadotrophin. People with less of that hormone means they're more likely to have pregnancy sickness. So there could be a whole range of other things involved in this. Okay, our second hypothesis. Giving medicines to women with pregnancy sickness increases risk of miscarriage and birth defects. Now that's quite an important hypothesis, because all these, medicines that we're dishing out for, pregnancy sickness could actually be having harmful effect. It'll cure the pregnancy sickness, but that means it allows us to ingest, well, not me obviously, but pregnant women, to ingest more toxic foods, which could be harmful to the developing embryo. So that's important. But you'll be pleased to know that there isn't actually any evidence for this. But that could be because the people who are taking the medicines have pregnancy sickness anyway. So that's what could be stopping this for, us getting any valid results from this statement. So we'd have to have a control where we have people who don't have pregnancy sickness to take the medicines and see what happens then. So we call these confounding factors. So the basically general consensus is that pregnancy sickness is probably adaptive, but once again, we do need more scientific evidence, more stuff to actually prove that. But when you think about it, the science and the theories behind it do make a lot of sense. Okay, on to our second topic of today, mate choice. So, what makes you fancy the person that you fancy? If you're sitting, with your girlfriend or your boyfriend right now, look at them and think, why do I like you? Go on, do it. Well, if you haven't come up with an answer, then I may have just forced a breakup. But don't worry, the man with all the answers, my father, I interviewed him earlier to see if he could answer the question.
Hello there, John Wainwright.
Hello there.
So, what features first caught your eye when you first met Lau Leonor Salinas Wainwright, your wonderful wife?
Oh gosh, that's a big question. Her sparkling personality, her beauty, generosity and kindness. She had lots of interests that were the same as mine. Oh, and her intelligence.
Oh, yes.
Say that. And
What about odour?
Oda. Oh, I can't. This was many years ago. I can't recall.
Did her odour
Any
ever catch your
odour.
attention?
Oh dear. No, I can't say that it did.
Very good. Now, obviously, there are loads of factors, but odour surprisingly plays a very important role in deciding who you want to mate with, or sexually reproduce with. I mean, that's basically what we're narrowing it down to, aren't we? And it's all to do with some immune system proteins called the major histocompatibility complex proteins, the MHC. And specific collections of these proteins correlate to a distinct odour. So it's a collection of alleles, so it's not just one gene, it's a collection of different genes, all on chromosome 6 of the human chromosome. And what they do, they're involved in the immune system and they're expressed on the surface of our cells. Now they're also expressed in a co-dominant fashion. So the alleles you get from your mum and the alleles you get from your dad are both expressed in equal proportions on the surface of your cells. Now we know that a greater diversity of MHC alleles at these loci correlates with a greater resistance against a wider range of pathogens. And it's been shown that we can detect this diversity of alleles through scent. Also, the diversity of alleles at these loci may correlate with genetic variation overall. Therefore, by sniffing out the diversity of these MHC alleles, we can get a good idea on how genetically diverse the person we want to mate with is. And obviously, having someone with a greater diversity of alleles is very important. Now, this isn't just a human thing, it's actually been shown in mice as well. Mice can actually differentiate between different diversities in MHCs by smell. And what's been shown is that before puberty, mice like to stay around individuals with similar MHC diversities. And after puberty, obviously when they're gallivanting about, wanting to find a mate, they'll want to be with individuals with dissimilar MHCs. So that means they can mate with someone with a different diversity of alleles to their own. But then, once they become pregnant, then it switches back again. They prefer to stay with individuals with similar MHCs. So that prevents males which potentially would want to mate with this female from actually happening, and that may alter the success of the pregnancy. Also, when you're a pregnant mouse, you're a little bit more vulnerable as well, so it's important to be protected by your own family to increase the chance of survival and the survival of the offspring. Now, this is what I find most amazing. This isn't just an intra-species thing. It's actually an interspecies thing as well, because it's been shown that humans can distinguish by smell different combinations of alleles at these MHC loci in mice. What? What's the point in that? So we've shown that mating with someone with differing diversity in their MHC loci makes you more likely to survive because you have much greater defense against a greater range of pathogens. Okay, so let's get back onto the humans now. There's a very famous experiment which showed this in humans, and it's called the sweaty t-shirt experiments. So, males and females were genotyped for their MHCs, and the males were told to sleep or live in the same t-shirt for 2 days. So then the scientists took the t-shirts, put them in random boxes, then you have a long line of females sniffing sweaty t-shirts. What a lovely image. Now, the females were told to rank on how attractive they thought the smell of that t-shirt was. And the results, you guessed it really, the pleasantness of smell was related to how dissimilar the loci at these MHC complexes were. So the smell was more present in individuals with dissimilar loci in their MHC genes. Now remember in one of the earlier videos of this evolution series we talked about assortative mating. Well, this is completely the opposite, isn't it? This is disortative mating, because females are choosing males with drastically different genotypes to themselves. However, if the females were put on a contraceptive pill, that mimics pregnancy, so the result was completely the reverse. They found the more pleasant smells were ones with more similar MHC loci. They also found that odours that the women found more attractive reminded them of an ex-partner. So, loads of things feeding into this. However, this study was criticised quite a bit. For a start, the females were given nasal sprays to increase their smelling sensitivity, and also the males were told to not to use non-scented soaps. Another interesting point to note that this relationship actually is seen to differ between different populations. In African populations, this sort of trend isn't seen so much. The individuals choose others with more dissimilar loci in their MHC. However, in European and American populations, it is. So this may not be a whole species thing. But also, we must bring it down to reality and realise that odour isn't everything. There are loads of factors which determine who you fancy and who you don't, as John clearly pointed out. Well, that's me done for today. I hope you enjoyed that. I thought that was actually pretty interesting, actually. So join me next time for the last evolutionary video. Oh, sad times. But don't get too depressed, I'm sure you'll get over it at some point. I could put you in touch with some, good doctors if so. But anyway, I'll see you next time. Goodbye!